the big middle of all this and have been for years. And one of the problems that I can tell you that Rand Paul has, and Rand Paul is not polling well at all. The guy has zero personality. He has zero ability to, like I was on another show a while ago, and they asked me about Rand Paul, and I said, I went to a Rand Paul event the other day, and this is what it consisted of, Rod. I was probably the only one in the room that shook hands with him. That's because I was standing by the door when he walked in, right? These guys get out of their little 3 black suburban caravans. They march inside. He's got some gal carrying his briefcase, another gal carrying a clipboard, taking notes, and somebody holding a cell phone to their ear. And they walk inside. He shook 1 or 2 hands. He goes up. He sits down on a table. His little crowd fluff guy stands up. There's probably 75 people there. It was at a library, in a meeting room at a library in the suburb of Des Moines. And the fluff guy, we want to welcome, we're so honored to have, blah, blah, blah. Please watch this video. And it was a 10-minute video of his wife telling us how hot Rand was when she met him in school and how she just had to have him. Now,
his wife, I got to tell you, I've heard his wife more than I've heard him lately.
Supposed to maybe become the first lady, telling us how hot this guy was and how cute his curly hair was. Then we saw him playing with a family dog. We saw him playing with a couple of children. And then, please vote for my hot husband. And that was the end of the video. He gives a 10-minute speech on where our liberty has gone in this country. He takes 2 questions that were totally benign to his speech, weren't even in the same hemisphere. Then he took 2 selfies, one with my brother, one with another person, and then he left. The entire thing lasted 25 minutes from start to finish. And he calls this retail politics. No, I've been to a Mike Huckabee event. I've been to many Donald Trump events. And I can tell you categorically, these gentlemen have mastered the art of retail politics. Donald will come out and he'll come through the back door of the event center or wherever he's at. He'll shake hands the entire way up to the stage. He gets on stage after they've done their thing to get the crowd into a frenzy, and Tana Gertz or somebody has given a wonderful intro for him. And then Sam Clovis has said something nice. And they introduce Donald. Donald will speak for anywhere from an hour, 10 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. And it's all about Donald, and that's fine. And at the end, he'll spend 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm not kidding. I've watched this happen. He will shake every hand at the bottom of that stage that comes up. He will take selfie after selfie after selfie after selfie, sign literally hundreds of things for people, autograph for people, and then he leaves.
Well,
and that's a Donald Trump event. And people wonder why he's in the lead.
Well, Donald Trump has mastered how to be a self-promoter. Everybody knows. He understands what people want. He understands how to give people what they want. Now, you could argue that he only does that for the wealthy up to the super. And, wealthy or not, people are people. And Donald knows how to get. Now, you gotta figure that he's not just reaching out to wealthy people, because his brand has his name is his brand. He has all kinds of products and services that have the Trump stamp on them, and he's got to reach people, regular everyday people, in order to make those products and service branding on it successful. He knows how to do that. And
Rod,
you're right,
it's
Mike
his
Huckabee.
message. It is his message. I'm telling you, it's his message. The American people, I've been called by the UK Daily Mail. I've given them a couple of interviews, the Washington Times, dang near on a weekly basis, New York Times, everybody else. The other day I was called by the London Telegraph newspaper. And the question is all the same. How do you explain Trump's success? Because I was one of the first Tea Party guys in America to come out and endorse him. I endorsed him 5-6 months ago. And, excuse me, winter in Iowa, my friend. Anyway, he is addressing, this morning I was attacked by a pro-life activist here in Iowa. It's a friend of mine. How can you support Trump, Ken? He's a liberal. No, he's not. He's not a liberal. He is, I happen to believe in God, and I believe hearts can change. What he believed 25 years ago about some social issues is not the same way he believes today. It's just not. And he said it repeatedly over and over and over again. He's conservative on guns. He's conservative on national security. He's conservative on rebuilding our military. He is conservative on the economy. And he is the only one right now that truly has a handle on the devastation we're fixing to reap from this economy and our national debt. And it's my opinion he's the only one that can fix that. And in these rallies, he talks about that incessantly. And he explains to people what's getting ready to happen and what has to be done to stop it, and why these other politicians, because they're owned by the lobbyists, are not able to stop it. It's like we've lost 176,000 corporations, not just jobs, corporations in 10 years that have moved offshore out of this country. How did that happen, and why did that happen? Well, it happened because lobbyists for the multi-billionaires like Warren Buffett and the Koch brothers and so on and so forth lobbied Congress, had the laws changed so that they could write off everything, move the corporations out of the country, and increase their profit margins by 2 or 3 or 5-fold or whatever they did. That's why we've lost all these jobs. And Donald Trump knows it. And the people know it. And that's what he is addressing. And that's why his crowds are so passionate. And you have middle class, you have lower middle class. I went to an event recently of his that was held in Newton, Iowa. Now, Newton is the hometown, or was the hometown, to Maytag. They were invented there. 103 years ago, they invented the washers and dryers there. And one day, Maytag is sold to Whirlpool. Whirlpool packages them up and moves them to Mexico. It devastated this town, Rod. You're talking about a town of 6,000, 7,000 people. 3,000 of those people worked at Maytag, making washers and dryers and refrigerators and whatever it was they made. And it all went away in one night. And Trump had on stage somebody that he had helped. The guy owned the Domino's franchise there. And he had seen this special on 60 Minutes about, it's been, 8 years ago or so if this happened, 10 years ago. And he had watched it. And the next morning he called this man on the telephone. The guy didn't believe it was Donald Trump and hung up on him. It was kind of funny because the guy was telling this story, right? To the crowd. There were thousands in the crowd. And he said, I didn't believe it was Donald Trump. So a minute later, the secretary calls back and says, no, it really was Mr. Trump. Please hold for Mr. Trump. And the guy said, yeah, okay, whatever. Well, it was him. And the only thing he asked him was, how can I help you? Donald Trump got on a plane, flew there, saved his business and a couple of more businesses, and then went home. Literally saved them. The guy used to have 44 employees. When Maytag left, he had 3 employees left, and it had to shut 2 stores. And Trump saved him. And that's the stories that people hear at these rallies.
I do hear the anecdotal evidence about. Look, I have followed Donald Trump's business career since the mid '80s. I know a lot
Sure.
about the business side of Donald Trump, and I also know that his personal life has had some highs and some pretty devastating personal mistakes in his personal life. But hey, that's his personal life, and he's admitted that he's made some mistakes. I know that he has said in the past that one of his biggest personal mistakes, as well as a business mistake, was divorcing his first wife, Ivana. Now, this came after he Naples split, and I think everybody kind of agreed, Donald, you were an idiot for Ivana. But he admits when he makes mistakes. He's not. Everybody thinks that Donald is so self-absorbed and self-centered. But here's a guy that can admit when he makes mistakes. Now, we got another guy that's in the White House that can't admit when he makes mistakes. He blames everybody else for his mistakes. And so I know people are looking at Donald Trump as being a regular, even though he's, I just saw an article the other day talking about Donald, about being the first multi-billionaire blue-collar guy. Now, you don't hear those two terms being put together, billionaire and blue-collar. I mean, they're equating Donald Trump, who's not really a blue-collar person. He's never been a blue-collar person. But they're equating, I get it, they're equating Donald Trump with the blue-collar middle class. And he's always been there for them. And I get that. And I know a lot of people think that that's not true. But yeah, actually it is. Donald Trump is always identified with, and that's probably because he gets that from his father. But he's always identified very well with the middle class and the blue collar, because he understands that is the working base that built his empire. It wasn't a bunch of rich people that built his empire. It was the blue collar.
I know. I'm going to verify what you're saying here. I know several of his key advisors personally very well. As a matter of fact, I'm friends with several of them, like Dr. Sam Clovis. And Dr. Clovis was telling me one day, I said, "What's his office like?" He said, "Ken, you'll never believe this. You walk in Trump Tower and all you see is marble and waterfalls and gold handrails, and you fly on the plane and the seat belts are 14-karat gold with a family crest on them and everything, right? You get to his office and you would never believe it was his office. He's got a corner office, got a great view of the skyline of New York and all that. But his desk is a desk that you would pick up at Office Depot for probably $800. His credenza behind it, same thing. And all he's got is family photos. And the thing that he's the most proud of is his Boy Scout awards. And he's got all of them framed hanging on his wall. And he's got a normal telephone. He's got a normal leather chair. And he eats lunch at his desk. He has them bring him a tuna salad sandwich or something like that. He doesn't go out to eat lunch. He sits in his office, and there's stacks of papers all over the room. You have to wade through them to get to a seat to sit down. He's got just a normal, accountant's desk. And you wouldn't think that. I mean, a guy that spends $60 million on an airplane, you would think would have a really fancy desk, something, like they got in the Oval Office. But he doesn't. He's just a normal guy. And that goes to exactly what you're saying. He believes he's blue collar. And I've heard that from several people that have been in his office, said the same thing.
He's Donald, Donald Trump is a worker. He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people have picked up, and he could be more eloquent or in some of the things that he says, but I complain about everything, and that's not what we from a lot of our politicians. But yeah, I mean, I look, I like Donald. I like him in the race. I like him as a potential,
Well, he's going to win. I can tell you that. By the way, you're breaking up a little bit, so if I interrupt you, it's totally unintentional.
He definitely can, has the possibility of winning. That is no. I mean, even the GOP insiders have come to realize that Donald Trump could walk away with this, and that's the last thing that they want. But they've tried everything to try to derail the Trump train, and nothing they've tried so far has worked.
Well, I'm going to give you my personal opinion, and I've written several articles on this.